Is it possible that I am actually afraid to lose weight? Is this weight serving a purpose? The answer for me is absolutely yes. I realized a little while ago that one of the reasons, not all of the reasons, there are actually several, but one of the reasons why I have had such a difficult time losing weight, or when I have lost weight, I've gained it right back, is because I believe that it keeps me safe. Now, in other videos, I talk about core beliefs and I talk about like the definition of ourselves and how that dictates how we act, how we feel. And one of those core beliefs for me is that I'm not safe. And attached to that core belief is that being fat keeps me safe. When I discovered this a few years ago, I was a little bit mystified because it seems a little crazy. It was around the time, so my youngest daughter is very petite, like she's very small in body structure. I'm a protective mom. I'm not overprotective, but I worry. And I didn't want her to like even walk over to neighbors' houses that were around the block or around the corner. And there is a biggish street that's close by. So I was feeling really nervous about her getting to the age where I'm like, I've got to cut the apron strings and I need to let her have more independence. And the thought that kept coming up for me is this word, which is going to seem a little curious maybe to you, but the word portable. I actually found myself telling someone that I was nervous because she's so portable. And when I said that, it kind of stuck with me. It kind of rang in my ears and I was thinking, that's ridiculous. Portable. Yes, she's small. She's easy to move, right? So that started me thinking, where does this come from? Why am I so afraid of this? And then that made me realize that I have a fear of being kidnapped. In this process of going through and trying to figure out where is this fear coming from? What is driving this? I actually stumbled upon a memory of when I was 8 years old. Okay, so when I was 8 years old, I was walking to school one day. It was a Saturday. I was going to go to the school to meet my teacher. A little group of us were going to go on a, little field trip. I crossed the street from my house and like a couple of houses down, there's this kid on a bike. I want to say he's, I don't know, because you're a kid, everybody looks older, right? And bigger. And I want to say maybe he was 13, 14. Still on a bike, not in a car. So he is there on a bike and he stops at me and he's, hey, like, I'm looking for my kitten. It ran away. And would you help me find my kitten? And now when I look back, I see how that was a really dangerous conversation. But I was 8 years old. I didn't know. And he was a kid. He was a kid, right? Not very threatening. Not like we were told, like, when a car drives up close to you and offers you candy. And I don't even know if those conversations even happened when I was that age. My parents were very free range, right? So anyway, so this kid is asking me to look for his kitten. And I was like, oh, probably any other day I would have jumped right on board and been all up into looking for this kitten. But I needed to be at school. So I was like, oh, I can't help you because I've got to get to school. But as I walk to school, I can look. And so I'm walking along, and the guy's riding his bike. So we go to the point where now I'm going to turn a corner. Now around this corner, let's say I was walking with this kid, around this corner, this is a cinder block fence, right? And at the end of the cinder block fence, it opens up to the schoolyard, which is a chain link fence, of course, right? We round the corner, and at this point, right here, as soon as we clear the vision of the house, the kid hops off his bike, it falls to the ground, he runs over, pushes me up against the wall, has both arms on either side of my head, like here, right? And he has a knife. He has a knife in his hand. And he told me, he said, you are going to walk around that corner with me. I don't know if I'm remembering this correctly, but I want to say that visions of one of those creepy vans being around the corner and more men, grown-up men, ready to throw me into the van and do bad things to me and drive off with me. I at least had that worldliness. I did watch Chips when I was a kid, right? So I did know some stuff. So I'm petrified. Now, I have to say, at that point in my life, I was a little chubby. Not very overweight, but definitely not thin. But no matter the case, I was never a fast child, right? Like, I was not a runner. I can't even imagine being able to outrun this kid, right? Somehow, by the grace of God, with my slow little body, and my instinct is normally to freeze. I'm not a fast reactor. Somehow I was able to duck underneath his arm and run. Thankfully, that fence was only so long that it opened me up to a chain link fence. And also by the grace of God, there was a group of kids out there with their coach practicing soccer. So I'm screaming, help me, somebody's chasing me, right? That kid takes off, the coach runs over to help me, and then he safely gets me over to my teacher, who then hops into the car and starts driving around the neighborhood looking for this kid, right? We never found him, of course, but here's the thing. This portable thing in my mind now is connected to a memory that was pretty stinking traumatic as an 8-year-old, right? And I talk in other videos how our memories, our past experiences can get stuck in our bodies, right? Can get stuck in our subconscious. The whole job that it has is to keep us alive and keep us safe. And at this point, I was threatened. My safety was threatened. Well, as I continued remembering that time period, I started remembering pictures. And I realized that is when I started really putting on weight. There's a distinct difference between the size here and then the size here. Somewhere, somehow, I made the connection. Maybe somebody said something, maybe some other circumstance. I don't know how, but somehow I made the connection that if I was heavier, then I couldn't be picked up. I couldn't be moved. And that kept me safe. So you see where I'm going with this? Like, I physically, in a physical sense, have attached my weight with safety, right? That I'm not portable, which is why I started fearing for my daughter, because she was tiny and she was portable. Of course, I had to work through all of that. So, what is my point? My point is this. Am I really safe physically if I'm overweight? That doesn't actually make very much sense, because I'll tell you, there's a couple of times in my life when being overweight is not safe. So one time I was at Magic Mountain, right, in California, at Magic Mountain, and I'm visiting with some friends, and we got on the Batman ride. I have a piece of hair. Okay, we got on the Batman ride. And I don't even know if they have this ride anymore. So let me tell you what it is. So it's a roller coaster, and it goes and it does a loop at some point. That's all I remember. It does a loop and whatever, everywhere else. But I remember the loop. And you actually sit in and your feet are dangling. It's a roller coaster where your feet are dangling. And I'm with my friends. I get on this ride. And you have to pull this harness thing down, and you have to snap it into the seatbelt down here. Well, I'm a big girl, right? So I pull the harness down and I snap it in. Well, I'm trying to snap it in because I couldn't snap it in because my belly and my, here was getting in the way, right? So I'm pushing and I'm trying to snap it in, it won't go in. Well, if you've ever ridden a roller coaster, which I'm sure you have, then you know that it's like this fast thing. You like get in, they put the things down, they check real fast, and phew, you go, because they're trying to get people through the line really fast, right? Here I am, I'm like, I can't get it snapped. And I'm starting to get really panicky. The little teenage checker people come over and they can see that I'm having a problem. And so I'm ready to just get out and say, never mind, just go without me. But they decide that they're going to be helpful, right? And so they come over, two teenage boys, literally pushing down on the harness and shoving that thing in. Okay, mortifying. Total mortifying embarrassment when I'm with my two friends, right? Get past the embarrassment, because right now I am focused on, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. This thing is going to take off, and that seatbelt is not going to stick because I'm shoved in there, right? And because there's so much pressure from my weight pushing on this seatbelt, as soon as it turns a corner or does one of those flips, I pictured myself like flying off into stinking space, right? Because I'm so crammed into this. So, is being fat safe? Oh, clearly I made it through the trip, but it was terrifying the whole time, right? Okay, so is being fat safe? I have real evidence, real experience that being fat was not safe. Okay? Do I have more evidence that says that being fat is not safe? Let's see. Well, if you have seen other videos, then you probably know that I was married to an abusive man. And I have to say that now that I think about it, my weight did come in handy sometimes, because he couldn't move me very easily. Actually, I was going to use that as evidence for why being fat is not safe, but it actually did come in handy. Because I remember that there was a time when he was laying into me, he was hitting me, and he kept trying to pull me off of the bed onto the floor. And I remember being terrified, because I felt like if he got me to the floor, that was more dangerous, because then he would then be able to kick me. And it turns out in later episodes of this violence, that was actually true, that if I was on the floor, he would kick me. In that instance, being heavy kept me on that bed. He could not move me, right, to get me off. So I guess that's not evidence for being fat is not safe, because in that case, it actually was. Okay, here's another scenario. It being fat is not safe. Let's say, oh, you know what? There's the standard joke, right? You're hiking in the woods and you're like, oh my gosh, what if we come across a bear? And your friend is like, well, that's okay. It doesn't matter. I can outrun the bear. And I'm telling this badly, but it's something like where you're like, yeah, I can outrun the bear too. I don't have to run faster than the bear. I just have to run faster than you, like the person you're with, right? And I told that totally badly, but you know what I'm saying. The slow person, okay, the point is the slow person is who the bear is going to get first. Okay, so I am always going to be the slow person, because I'm telling you right now, like, I'm slow. I am not a fast person. I cannot run. In fact, right now I have a torn meniscus. That's a whole nother story, but that makes it even worse. But even without the torn meniscus, my ability to run at this weight, especially at this weight and this age, it's a no. Okay, I'm dead. The bear is going to get me. I'm going to have to resort to trying to play dead, or I don't know what works for bears. Okay. So the point being is that there is actually maybe evidence on both sides. None of that matters. All of the reasons, I can sit here all day and come up and rationalize how being overweight does not provide me safety. Okay? I could probably come up with lists of reasons why being overweight physically does not provide me safety. But that does not matter because in my brain, being big is safer. Like, how do I explain this? Okay, let's talk about, I'm not going to talk about politics, but I'm going to just briefly touch on this. Okay, so for example, like we just had an election, right? And for the most part, people were on two sides, right? Some people wavered, right? But for the most part, two sides, like very strong opinions on this side or on this side of where you land. Now, when a piece of social media or the news comes in, what we do is we take this information and we filter it through what we know, what we believe. Okay, so if we believe that this candidate is poo, right, and then this piece of information comes in and it's like praising this candidate, we're going to throw this out. We're going to be like, that is not true. That's not a fact. That candidate cannot be good because I know that this candidate is poo. So we just throw it out. We're like, meh, whatever, I'm not hearing you, okay? But if a piece of information comes in, some social media thing that like supports this candidate, or not this one, that supports this other candidate, the one that you think is amazing, then you will take that information and you'd be like, yeah, of course, see, I'm right, and you take that information and you gather it and you like collect it as more evidence that you're right. That's what I'm saying about this weight issue. It doesn't matter if I had somebody talking to me and telling me all the reasons why being overweight is not safe, because I will take that and it doesn't even hit my filter. It hits my block. Like, nope, it doesn't work for me. Okay. That is not information I believe. So it just hits this wall, bounces, poof, gone. I didn't even think about it. Okay. But like I just did, you just saw me actually actively do. I saw a piece of information where my husband was attacking me, and that being overweight served me. So I took that information, boop. This is not a wall anymore. This is a, yeah, that's right. See, I'm right. Being overweight provides protection. So I take in that information, I put it over here in this little pile of evidence. See what I mean? See, there's another way that shows that being overweight keeps me safe. That's what I'm talking about. This is what we do with information. This is how we filter things through. We either grab onto it and keep it as more evidence for what we believe, or we just throw it away. Okay. So aside from physical reasons of feeling like I'm safer, I think that the bigger issue is emotional. Like, how does my weight protect me emotionally? Now, if you're watching this video, I'm guessing it's because you get what I'm saying. Like, you understand that somehow for you, weight has equaled safety to you as well. So what kind of safety am I talking about emotionally? I'm talking about like relationships, right? I have managed to avoid a lot of relationships by being overweight, because in my mind, being overweight means that I'm less attractive. It means if I'm less attractive, then I won't get attention. If I don't get attention, then I'm not vulnerable. If I'm not vulnerable, then I am, what's the word we're looking for in this video? Safe. Okay, now is it true that overweight people are not attractive? This is not true. Again, going through the filter, okay? Going through the filter. Of course, there are people who are attracted to people who are overweight, right? Of course, overweight people are beautiful, right? I'm not trying to body shame. I'm not trying to say like big people can't be beautiful. It's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that I take this information in, and in my belief system, I somewhere have attached the belief that if I am overweight, I am protected from having attention, and that not having attention will keep me safe. So what am I going to do about it? That's the big question, right? Who cares if I have come to the understanding that I know that in my mind, I equate being big with being safe. What am I going to do about it? Well, I've already have a video that talks about a technique called EFT tapping, and I will let you explore that video at another time. It's actually pretty amazing, because what we're trying to do is rewrite the program, change the way that I see being big. As long as I see being big as a safety, as long as I see it as a protection, ain't nothing gonna happen. I am not gonna lose weight. And if I lose weight, I'm gonna put it right back on, because I am not gonna give up my safety. I am not going to give up my protection. That's my whole brain's purpose, remember, is to protect me, is to keep me alive. So I am not going to give up that safety. So the only thing that is going to help me or make it possible for me to lose weight and keep it off is if I change this idea, this false idea in my mind that being overweight is safe. I have to rewrite that program. I have to change that core belief. I have to change it into something that can actually serve me and help me move forward. So there are lots of ways of doing that. Now, if it is a belief that we hold on to that's not very stuck inside of us, we can use different techniques, and I will talk about those techniques to actually work through that process and level up the thinking to get it to where we want it to go. But for the things that are traumatic, like what happened with me as an 8-year-old, or what happened with my ex-husband with abusing me, those kinds of trauma situations, they get stuck at a different level in our brain, and they get a lot harder to uproot, especially when it deals with things like safety and survival, right? So therapists are trained to help us through these kinds of things, especially one that deals with trauma, right? My therapist that I have right now is amazing, and we have been working specifically with 3 different ways of reprogramming my brain. I've got a lot of complex issues, so I might be with her for a while. But one of the ways that she uses is hypnotherapy, and I am going to do a video about that. Another way that oh my gosh, what's it called? A technique, method, they call them modalities, that she uses it's called EFT tapping. And I have already done a video on that. That is EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Technique. I just call it tapping. There's a video that I have made about that and my success with EFT tapping and all about that. So I will link that at the end of this video and in the notes below. And the third way that my therapist has been using is called ART. So it's art, but if you look up art therapy, then they want you to paint pictures or something. I don't know. But ART is accelerated resolution therapy. And this one is actually really cool. And I haven't done a video on that one yet, but I will. I'm going to hit EMDR. I'm going to hit art. I'm going to be talking about some other things that I have done in therapy and some other resources and ways to work through leveling up thinking. And the point of this whole video, which I hope that this has been helpful to you, is for me to get out there that there are real reasons, real emotional reasons for being overweight. There are things going on that go way beyond eating and way beyond exercising, right? Way beyond. All we ever do in our culture is ever deal with the physical aspects of emotional eating. It doesn't make any sense when so much, especially for those of us who are very overweight, the issue drives way deeper than that to emotional causes and trauma in our past and things that are motivating us to put weight on and keep the weight on. And I hope that if you're watching this video, it's because you relate, you understand what I'm talking about, and I just want you to know that you're not alone and that there is help. There are resources. I'm tapping into those resources, and I'm hoping to expose those who are watching this video to those resources so that they can also tap into the resources, and we can work this together and get some relief from the struggle that we've had for so long. Hope to see you soon. Bye for now. Take care.